Lina had always been a little spooked by the old apartment building on the corner of her street. Tonight, she had no choice. Her friend had left her keys upstairs, and Lina was the one sent to retrieve them. The lobby was dimly lit, dust motes dancing in the single beam of moonlight cutting through the grimy window. She found the elevator, a rickety-looking cage of metal and tarnished brass, and pressed the call button. The gears groaned, and the door slid open with a painful screech, revealing an abyss. It was completely dark inside. Lina hesitated, her hand hovering over her phone's flashlight. But she was in a hurry, taking a deep breath. She stepped into the void. The moment her foot touched the floor, the door slammed shut, plunging her into total blackness. A jolt threw her against the wall as the elevator began to move. Down. Strange, she thought. Her friend lived on the 5th floor. She fumbled for her phone. The light flickered on, illuminating a small, cramped space. Her eyes darted to the floor indicator above the door. A small red light glowed next to the number 4, then 3, 2, 1. G for ground. But it didn't stop. A new number appeared, -1. Lina's heart began to pound. What was on floor -1? A basement. The building didn't have one. The numbers continued to descend. 5, -8, -10. A cold draft seeped through the cracks in the elevator walls. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth and something else. Something metallic. -11, -12. The single light bulb above her began to flicker erratically. In the strobing light, she saw them. Scratches. Deep, frantic gouges in the wooden paneling, as if someone had tried to claw their way out. A soft sound reached her ears, a faint whisper, like wind rustling through dead leaves. It was impossible to make out the words, but the sound itself made the hair on her arms stand on end. Then, with a violent shudder that nearly knocked her off her feet, the elevator stopped. The flickering bulb died completely, leaving her in suffocating darkness once again. The floor indicator glowed with a hellish red, -13. A low groan echoed through the shaft as the doors began to slide open. Outside wasn't a basement. It was a hallway, stretching into an impossible distance, a tunnel of absolute black. Curiosity and terror warred within her. She had to know where she was. Using her phone as a guide, she stepped out onto the cold concrete floor. The air was freezing. The whispering was louder here. Far down the hallway, at the very edge of her phone's light, a shape stood. It was tall, impossibly thin, a silhouette of a man shrouded in shadow. It was perfectly still. Lina's breath caught in her throat. She called out, her voice a weak tremor. "Hello." No response. The figure remained motionless. Suddenly, the lights in the elevator behind her flickered back on for a split second. In that flash, she saw the hallway illuminated. And the shadow, it was no longer at the end of the hall. It was halfway there, its form clearer, more defined, a twisted mockery of a human shape.
A voice, cold and ancient, whispered right beside her ear. "You weren't supposed to come here."
Pure, instinctual panic took over. Lina spun around and sprinted back towards the elevator, the promise of escape. Her feet pounded on the concrete. The doors were closing, too slowly. She could hear it now, a shuffling, dragging sound behind her, getting closer, faster. She threw herself through the closing gap, tumbling onto the elevator floor just as the door sealed shut with a final deafening clang. The shadow figure slammed against the outside of the door, the metal buckling inward. But the elevator was moving again. Down. -14. -15. Lina scrambled to the corner, pressing herself against the cold wall, tears streaming down her face, her whole body trembling uncontrollably. She didn't know how long she was in there, watching the numbers descend into madness. -20. -30. Then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The ride was smoother this time. The floor indicator lit up. Gee, the doors opened with a gentle chime into the familiar, dimly lit lobby. She scrambled out, not daring to look back, running for the front door, for the street, for the real world. She burst outside, gasping the cool night air. She was safe after a few moments. Her heart rate began to return to something resembling normal. She had to be sure. She turned back and looked through the glass door of the building. Her eyes went to the elevator's floor indicator. The red light showed -1. And through the small window in the elevator door, she could see it. The shadow figure was standing inside, right where she had been. As she watched in horror, the doors began to close.
A final faint whisper seemed to drift through the glass. Next visitor.